Rebecca and I work for a company called Croda. And today I wanted to introduce Croda as a company to you and also discuss what you think a scientist is. So I'm going to ask you a few questions today. I know I can't be there with you in person at school at the moment, but I'm hoping for every question I ask, you can raise your hand and tell your teacher the answer. And if you have any additional questions, your teacher can pass those on to me and we'll make sure that a scientist replies to you as soon as we can. But I want to start today by asking if anyone in the class has heard of the company Croda. And if so, have you got any ideas of what Croda might do? Now don't worry if you haven't, not many people have heard of Croda, but in fact we're a company who make specialty ingredients that go into a really wide range of products that I'm sure you've used. Now an ingredient is a really important word that I'm going to use a lot today, so just to check you all know what ingredients are, can anyone have a guess? Personally, I love cake, and if I was going to bake a cake, I'd use flour, I'd use eggs, I'd use some butter, and I might even add quite a bit of chocolate. And that list there, the eggs, the flour, butter, they are the ingredients that are used to make a cake. Now unfortunately for me, Croda don't make cake, but they make ingredients that go into lots of other things. We often say that by 9 o'clock in the morning, you might well have used up to 5 Croda products already, even if you haven't heard who the company are or what we do. So let's imagine one of your typical days. So think about what you did this morning and today, and let's see whether you might have used a Croda product. So did any of you have a shower or a bath this morning, or maybe last night? And if you did, maybe you might have used a shower gel, or if you're lucky you might have had a nice bubble bath. Well, Croda make a special ingredient that goes into those products. So we make something that will make your bubble bath extra bubbly so you can have more fun in the bath. Now, hands up if you brushed your teeth this morning, which I'm very much hoping is all of you. Now, some people have very sensitive teeth, and therefore they might not like eating ice cream or drinking a hot chocolate because it might hurt their teeth. Well, Croda make a specialty ingredient that goes into a certain toothpaste that will help these people so their teeth become less sensitive. Now in your bathrooms at home, you might have lots of pots and bottles that contain different types of cream that you or your parents or your family might use. And a lot of these are for our skin, to make our skin smoother, to make sure it's well moisturized. And maybe not you, but maybe your parents or maybe even your teacher might use a cream to make them keep looking nice and young. Well, at Croda, we make that special ingredient that will go into that cream to help prevent wrinkles occurring and to keep our skin feeling nice and silky smooth. And what about your favourite clothes? Do any of you help at home when your mum and dad want to do the washing maybe? If so, when you put the washing powder or the washing detergent into the wash with the clothes, that might well contain a Croda ingredient that will help to keep the colours of your clothes really bright and vibrant. So if your favourite jumper is bright red, or maybe your school uniform is quite a dark blue, you want to be able to wash those clothes on a frequent basis, but keep that really bright colour. And we also sell products into hair care. So maybe you washed your hair this morning, and after you've used shampoo to wash your hair, some of us might have then used conditioner. And conditioner really helps to make sure your hair's not tangled, to make sure it's easy to brush afterwards, but it also keeps it nice and silky and swooshy. Now you might not think swooshy is a very technical or scientific word, but in fact it is. We even have tests at Croda at our headquarters that scientists do to test how swooshy hair is, as if it's nice and healthy and conditioned, then it will swoosh much higher than it would if you had really dry or damaged hair. And really wide variety of products that we sell our Croda ingredients into. So moving out of your house, maybe some of you came to school in a car or on a bus. Well, if you did, and you were lucky enough that that bus or car didn't break down, then it might be because they use a special engine oil that contains a Croda lubricant that helps the efficiency of the car, so it helps prevent it breaking down, which is something you always want if you're in a rush to get to school. And outside here today, it's not very sunny, but maybe where you are it is. And I hope every time it is sunny, you all remember to put on your sun cream. Very important to protect your skin from the damage from the UV rays that come from the sun. And at Croda, again, we make a special ingredient that goes into your sun cream that actually physically acts as a barrier and stops the rays from hitting your skin and being absorbed. So you can see it's a lots of variety of areas that we sell our ingredients into. And a good example over the last year is how we've helped so many people during the COVID-19 pandemic. So some of our ingredients are called slip additives, and these are used in plastic items that the NHS use, such as syringes. We also have ingredients called anti-fog additives that will go into face shields that doctors might wear, and it will stop them from steaming up during the day so they have clear visibility. We also sell ingredients into disinfectant sprays and cleaning products that you might use around the house to help clean and make sure that there are no viruses or bacteria left on any surfaces that have been touched. And Croda also make an ingredient that goes into the COVID vaccines, which is helping us to come out of these lockdowns and the pandemic. So it's a complicated company to describe because there are so many different areas we sell into, but I hope it's quite clear that we sell always the speciality ingredient and that these go into things that you will use every day. Now, the other thing I wanted to discuss with you today was what you think a scientist is and what you think a scientist might look like. So can you describe or discuss with your teacher what you think a scientist might do? Or if you have time, I would love you to be able to draw what you think a scientist might look like, and then your teacher could send these pictures to me and would love to see your thoughts. Now, last time I asked a class to do this, one of the students drew me a lovely picture of what I would call a typical scientist. So I wonder whether any of you have thought to describe your scientist in the same way. So this picture has really crazy hair, as if the man's been blown up in an explosion. So have any of you thought that maybe that Albert Einstein type look of the mad professor? Do you envisage a scientist being like that? Or maybe you can put your hands up if you drew a scientist as an old man. And what do you think a scientist might wear? Often we think of them in maybe a white coat. Maybe they might have some safety goggles on to protect their eyes. This picture even has one arm missing from an explosion from an experiment that went wrong, and I hope that doesn't happen to very many scientists. But in fact, a scientist can be anybody. Do you think I look like a scientist? Because I am, and hopefully you'd agree that my hair's not too crazy, and I'm definitely not wearing a white coat today. In fact, you're all going to be scientists today, so you can have a look around and see the variety of what a scientist can look like. And at Croda, we've got a wide range of different jobs that scientists can do. So I thought today I'd just introduce you to some of the people that work at Croda and some of the different types of jobs that you can have as a scientist. So we have one friend called James, who does in fact work in a lab, and he does wear a white coat, and sometimes he does look a bit like a mad scientist. And what James does is he actually makes and tests all the ingredients that will later go on to sell. We have Laura, who also works in the lab in her white coat, and she works alongside James, but she does a lot more tests on our ingredients to really ensure that when we sell that to a customer, that our ingredient says what we think and what we want it to do, to ensure that every time it has the same effect. And then we have Caroline. She also works in the lab, but sometimes she might travel to a customer's lab to show them how to use our products. Now, for an example, we might have a product which is a solid. So if you think of an ice cube, like a solid ice cube, whereas our customer might want to use a liquid, such as water. So can you think what Caroline might advise our customer to do if they want to use a liquid and we're selling a solid? So hopefully some of you were right, that you know that to make a liquid out of a solid, you might want to heat that product so that that ice could melt into water and be able to be used by our customer. And that's Caroline's job, to really explain how to use our ingredients and to keep our customers happy. We also have a wide variety of jobs for scientists that aren't in the lab. So for instance, we have Claire. Claire works in health and safety, so it's her responsibility to make sure that everyone works at Croda is safe and that there are no accidents. We don't want to be like that scientist in the picture who's lost an arm to an explosion. We need to ensure that everyone who works, whether it's on a factory, in a laboratory, or in an office, that they're working in a safe and healthy way. We also have Rachel. Rachel works in sales and marketing, so it's her team's job to really understand what our customers want and what the next new ingredient might need to be for us to develop it. And then they also will go out and sell these products to our customers. We also have Ian. Ian works in a department called quality control, which might not be something that you've heard of. But I want you to imagine that it's a really lucky day and you get to go to the sweet shop and buy your absolute favourite sweet. Now, can you imagine what that might taste like? And then the next day is another lucky day for you. You get to go to the sweet shop again and buy that same sweet. Now, would you want that sweet to taste the same as yesterday? Or would you want it to be different? I think most of us could agree that we always want our favourite sweet to always taste the same. We don't want to know it's a different sweet. We want to have that flavour that we just imagined, and then that's what we want. And it's exactly the same for Croda products. So it's Ian's job to make sure that each time we make an ingredient, it's exactly the same as the time before when we made it. So that when our customer buys that ingredient, it's always, for instance, the same colour. So it doesn't make a change in their end product. And finally, let's talk about Andy. Andy works in our accounts department. So a lot of people who work in finance have to be good at maths. So I hope that some of you enjoy your maths lessons as well as your science lessons. But it's a really important job that Andy does. He has to make sure that everything that we sell to our customers, that our customers pay Croda the right amount of money. And more importantly to me, he has to make sure that all the scientists that work at Croda are also paid at the end of the month, which keeps us all very happy. So as you can see, scientists do a wide variety of jobs. We don't all wear white coats. As I say, I work in an office, I can wear what I want every day, but I'm still a scientist. And there are even more. I haven't gone through all the options today. But if you have any questions or you want any more examples of what a scientist might do or how they might become a scientist, please let me know and we'll get back to you. But now I'm hoping you're all excited to be scientists today and do some experiments. Good luck!